So today we're going to talk about malabsorption syndrome, and what that refers to is the condition that prevents absorption of nutrients through the small intestine. So the prefix mala in front of absorption is a Latin term that refers to bad. So it is a poor ability to absorb nutrients, which is vital to a proper functioning human body. So malabsorption may be caused by infection, different medications, small intestine surgery, which would impact the small intestine, and because the small intestine is very important in absorbing nutrients. So if that's its role and you get an infection or surgery, or you have a certain disorder, such as what we'll cover in a little bit, celiac disease, it will affect your small intestine's ability to absorb nutrients. So the symptoms include weight loss, bloating, sometimes diarrhea. It depends because some of the diseases that come from malabsorption syndrome can cause either constipation or diarrhea. It depends. But eventually the brain, nervous system, the bones, the liver, and other organs can be affected, which we see in some other digestive-related syndromes in the list given, such as esoteric syndrome, which is jaundice. So that is the yellowing of the skin and the pigment of the whites of your eyes, because your liver is impacted from malabsorption, and when that happens, it causes the death of red blood cells, and that results in jaundice. Another syndrome that was listed is intestinal obstructive syndrome. So this falls under the category of not diarrhea but constipation. It is the backup of feces in the intestines. And when this happens and you're not expelling the waste, then there's a buildup of toxicity in the body, and this is obviously not ideal and can lead to serious issues. The last syndrome that I'm going to discuss that was also on that list is dysentery syndrome, which is an inflammatory disease of the intestine. But it is also like the lining of the intestine, so this affects especially the colon, and this can result in severe diarrhea, so that will fall under the diarrhea category and cause, horrible abdominal pains. Due to this, other symptoms that can happen are a high fever and a feeling of the inability to completely have let everything out of your colon, because you're going to feel like you still need to go to the bathroom, and this constant inflammation is just extremely uncomfortable. This is caused by several types of infectious pathogens. This ranges from bacteria, viruses, and parasites, especially if you travel, and that is also not a good syndrome to have. But the one that we're talking about, malabsorption syndrome, and the inability to properly absorb nutrients, it's also associated with celiac disease, as I mentioned earlier. So this is the body's inability to digest gluten, which is the protein in wheat and I think barley and rye, and if your body can't digest it, then it causes inflammation and it damages the small intestine. So if you have celiac disease, you should not consume gluten. Crohn's disease is another result of malabsorption syndrome. This causes chronic inflammation of the small intestines, and because you are chronically inflamed, it prevents proper absorptions of nutrients and vitamins and minerals, and it is actually, I know a lot of people with it, and it is extremely painful and debilitating to have. And the last one I'm going to talk about that's related to malabsorption syndrome is cystic fibrosis. So this comes with a broad range of symptoms, and it basically just causes, especially in your lungs, a backup of thick, sticky mucus that can impact your breathing and so on. But something that I learned through this assignment is that it can affect the digestive juices in your liver, and actually make it sticky and thick, just like your lungs. And this is important because you need certain passageways for the absorption of nutrients and minerals in your intestine. So if it's blocked by this thick, sticky mucus, you will face malabsorption. And malabsorption is it's very dangerous because it will result in malnutrition. Your body won't be able to function optimally, and this can impact your day-to-day and your health overall. And that is my presentation.